Well, Rizal was hired by a P&I club to come remove a grounded fishing vessel that had sunk a good while in the past down in South Chile. It was a really remote site out in southern Patagonia that another salver had worked on prior to us, and they weren't successful. So they asked us to come down and attempt it in kind of a unique way of recovering the vessel.
Yeah, roughly 2 years ago, the salmon vessel, they were successful to the extent that they get it refloated, and then they had some problems and they brought it here, put it down, but unfortunately they didn't get to complete the job, and the insurance company hired Resolve, and we're here to recover it onto the barge.
This vessel, the site we're working in now, is actually not where the original accident on the vessel happened. The vessel sunk outside of this cove in really bad weather conditions. Prior salver attempted to salvage it there using a more traditional salvage method, and when they had the vessel afloat, it lost its stability almost instantly because of the damage and the way the vessel is kind of designed with its tank layouts. So they brought it into this cove here and grounded it again because it wasn't safe to tow it anywhere. So the club brought us in to provide a unique solution where we could get the vessel somewhere safe back to port, get rid of it without having to tow it like you would a normal vessel.
Like to see how we could recover it, give it a bit of buoyancy so we could float it and make it a bit easier for us to bring it onto the barge. In the meantime, like I said, we was outfitting the barge, get everything ready, submerge the barge, refloat the vessel, and then pull it up onto the barge, and then refloat the barge with the vessel on board.
So that's why Resolve came down here with this, what some people call a crazy plan for an 8-hour boat ride from the nearest port, and we're taking a deck barge and turning it into something new. We're turning it into a semi-submersible that would work like that and let us dry dock the vessel out here in the middle of nowhere.
The weather is not on our side, all the way down. Including the last 3 days, they stop us. Absolutely over 60, 90 knots, we have to turn back to north.
We started the actual physical loading of this barge all the way back in December of the year prior. And then we took about a month and a half to load out the barge, construct everything together, and then it took 65 days sailing to tow from the US down to Chile.
We start on Mobile, Alabama on 20th January. This trip should take 2 months. We enter North Atlantic. We need to go southeast, follow the Brazilian coast, and to the South Atlantic Ocean. As soon as we depart, 24 hours later, gale force wind, they hit us with the waves swell from 4 up to 6 meters for the next 7-8 days. So we survive and enter the Caribbean Sea, south of Cuba, Jamaica, heading to the east, till Barbados.
Very wild, yeah, very wild. Unpredictable and very wild could be.
The entrance of the North Atlantic. We avoid our course close to the shore, Venezuela coast, because of the strong northwesterly current. So the first destination for the bunkering is supposed to be Rio de Janeiro. So when we come close to Rio de Janeiro, we decide that we have enough fuel to proceed down to Rio Grande, the last point of the Brazilian coast. The weather is not on our side, all the way down. Including the last 3 days, they stop us. Absolutely over 60, 90 knots, we have to turn back to north.
Yeah, they hit some bad weather, and it's crazy down here, the winds, down the bottom of the world, you know? It is, it's mad.
And 2 days backwards to the north, very unusual, but that's the only way to probably save the barge. Barge was sinking really down there, deeply, up to 8, 9 meters. Decision now what we have to make, how we're gonna survive actually the barge. There was too much. She's light, but she's wide and long, and the wire, which is towing length about 600 meters. I decide we need to turn back.
Everyone wants to avoid Cape Horn because there's 2 oceans kiss each other, and that's the worst you can see. That's you can see it in Africa as well, South Africa.
When we approach, we need to enter the Magellan Strait. Magellan Strait can be extremely dangerous with the 2 very narrow streets. Very narrow points, which reached a very strong current from the 8 up to 13 knots. So we have to wait and be careful what time we're going to pass this narrow channel, because we are not ordinary ship. We are with the big tow behind us.
66 days later, we arrived in the Punta Arenas.
The old commander's seen more sea miles than Manny, though. You know, she had no problem bringing her down all the way. Even Captain Angelo was saying, she goes, yeah, great seaboat. So we were lucky, came down, nothing damaged, nothing, you know, that's a big tow all the way from Mobile, Alabama, you know.
Yeah, this project, I mean, it's such a far away, remote location that to plan this project, you really need to think about everything, because there is no store. You can't just send somebody to the shop around the corner. It could take several days to get parts here, because the launch boat can only come out in good weather. We're so far from the shoreline, a variety of reasons. So
right now we're here in Puerto Natales. This is my first deployed project. I've been down here for about 6 weeks now. I'm the bridge between shore and offshore. With these projects, I feel like each project is its own adventure. Cost controlling the project, making sure and being on track where we need to be and on schedule. Andy was requesting a Afro pic, if you will. It's quite difficult to find here in Chile. I'm also getting a phone call. Oh, Andy's calling me. Gotta answer this one. Hi, Mr. Andy.
But when we get here, we did our final prep, do some investigation on the ship, like to see how we could recover it, give it a bit of buoyancy so we could float it and make it a bit easier for us to bring it onto the barge.
you know, normally to lift a vessel out of the water, you can use a dry dock, or if you're out somewhere away from a shipyard, you need what they call a semi-submersible ship. So it's a ship that's specially designed and built for the purpose of sinking down and lifting things on top of it. We don't have that, and that wouldn't work here because of the unique environment. So we had to do something crazy and convert this deck barge into a semi-submersible out here in the field. So, you know, way out, away from the nearest port, 8-hour boat ride from the nearest port, and we're taking a deck barge and turning it into something new. We're turning it into a semi-submersible that would work like that and let us dry dock the vessel out here in the middle of nowhere.
So basically we had a rudder line still on the seabed, and one of the guys beforehand, he had burned a hole through it and made a rigging eye. So we basically, since the wreck was out of the way, we just had to do our final dive to recover that. So I just had to go down, take the hooks down with me, and just rig it up so we could clear it up the seabed.
I think it's mostly, like I said before, the challenge. And when things look impossible to do, you really want to achieve it. I actually think that was a Nelson Mandela quote, by the way. But in either way, it's something that it's in your blood. It's not made for anybody. This line of work. It's 12 hours. It's physical. It's a mental game, and a lot of people come and go. A lot of people quit. I think the salvage game, in a nutshell, is pretty small, actually.
Yeah, just getting everyone motivated every night. It's darkness to darkness. Do you know what I mean? And that's the main thing about the night shift. If you can keep up with the day shift on nights, then you're doing just fine. And the tides hit very different this time for us. So night shift was getting the high tides, so we were able to run the chains a bit easier because the vessel had a bit more buoyancy in it. So we pulled them all through a lot easier at nights, and so it was good. We had nice progress on nights, and then days were struggling because they had a lot lower tides and everything's at a bigger angle, the vessel and everything, so we did all right on nights.
So again, as part of the process of taking this ordinary deck barge and making it something that lets you drag a vessel on top of it, there was a lot of work that had to happen. First and obvious, we had to put pumps inside the barge and install a whole pumping and venting system. How do you get air into those tanks so that they don't collapse when you pump them? All these unique things that you don't think about, but it's the details that matter in these operations, and our team had to do that all out here in the field. Another thing we did was install big steel beams along the deck. So we have a series of steel I-beams that are welded to the deck to basically allow room below the shipwreck, below the Heimdall, for our chains that are wrapped around it. So that as we pull the vessel up, the chains don't rip apart the barge. So there was a big fear with this operation that when you sink the barge and pull this wreck on it, that either the bottom of the barge would be damaged by rocks, put holes in your barge and not be able to refloat it, or the wreck dragging onto the barge would cause a lot of damage to the barge deck. And if either of those two things happened, we wouldn't be able to refloat, and we'd be put in an even worse position, because now we'd have a non-refloated shipwreck for our client and a sunk barge for our company. So it was a bit of a risk operation, but there was a lot of work, a lot of engineering that went into mitigating those risks.
Well, the challenging part is the weather. Because some days here you get minimum 25 knots wind. It's like a couple of nights ago we had it up to, I would say, close to 100 knots, which is over 100 miles an hour.
Weather played a very big part against us, which always is. Our line of work and salvage, it's always you fight the elements. It's the cold, it's the wind, it's the swells. So.
But yeah, that was crazy. That was one of the worst winds I've been in for sure. Thank God there was no sea behind it. Do you know what I mean? Because we're well enclosed here, but we had 50 knots from every direction. So it just spun around and we'd 50 knots, but we had about over 90 hitting us off the starboard side here.
Very unpredictable. That was the last week, for example. I was one night over 90 knots. My anemometer, wind meter, just exploded.
Yeah, we've had some crazy winds down here. Caleta Rachas, which is the location of this project site, actually translates essentially to Bay of Wind Gusts. It's famous here for crazy wind gusts. So we had some days there was a night shift where we had 90-mile-an-hour winds, 90 knots of wind from all four directions, from north, east, west, south. It didn't matter. It spun around throughout the night, and that's kind of what this area is known for. So it's a really unique challenge.
Yeah, and you have to work in it because we can't leave the barge unmanned. It's unsafe for us to leave it, and it's a small bay we're in right now, and the wind do pick up quite often.
So I woke up one Saturday morning and a non-work injury was reported. I had to activate the helicopter plan, and we coordinated him to shore due to the remote nature of the job, and he made it to Punta Arenas, and I joined him there and made sure everything was good.
That was one of the biggest problems as well, was deck space. Because we had nothing. We had about this 50 foot to have the whole equipment, everything. That's why you got power packs up here, you got the offices up here, you know, everything's stacked into 3 little containers, you could say. So.
One of the challenges on these international projects that people forget to talk about a lot is the language barrier, right? We have a lot of subcontractors on this project who don't speak English, including our tug. And the tug is really a critical part of the operation because it gets us into the site and out of the site. So
no, it's different because everybody's got a different set of tasks. So me and the Chilean divers, we had a whole Chilean diver team here. So I was working with them, and then our guys on days were the other dive team. So we had the Resolve dive team on days, and then I had the local Chilean divers with me on nights. So we were working with them closely, and it's different because there's obviously a language barrier. One of their guys speaks English, and then we've got a few more Chilean workers with us. So there's a barrier, but they did very well on this job.
Today we had just a planning meeting to get the captain of the tug, who's not used to salvage situations like this, these unique kind of tows and tight locations. This area we're working in is marked as non-navigable waters. The ships aren't supposed to enter here. So the local captains are nervous to work around these spots. So it's really important that you get everyone together, get everybody comfortable, get everybody thinking on the same page, to help kind of get over some of those language barriers when the operation actually starts. Because if everyone's on the same page now, it's okay if we don't speak the same language during the project, because everyone's at least working towards the same goal, working on the same objective, and it gets the job done.
And he's like, yeah, well, we need to do this. And then you're thinking in your head, oh yeah, we got to cover all these manholes. And because we had airlines, every tank that we pumped had to have a vent on it. So then all those vents had to be protected because the bottom of the ship is destroyed. So let's say there's something hanging, that's going to rip all your vents out, and then we can't refloat the ship.
If we didn't refloat it, like we had to drag it on bottom, it would have been a different ball game.
Basically, the ship was on the ground and there was real concern about the stability and all. So Resolve came in with the idea that, hey, we'll put it on a barge for you guys and we'll refloat, we'll sink the barge and pull it up on it. So it takes away all the risk of maybe it'll sink on the tow, maybe it won't sink. So now we've gone through the whole process as you seen last night.
And the thing is that nothing goes according to plan. Especially in salvage, what we always find is not every job is the same.
We had the pin barge and she snapped all the lines and we got her back though, and then it snapped them all again. And then we got some steel wires on it and we did all right from then on.
You might have a plan, but halfway during your plan, you might end up with a plan E. And you take it as it comes and you play with the weather, and if certain things do go wrong, then you change your plans and you have to get out of it, yeah. But it's not a thing as we're gonna stop and we're gonna quit, and we'll find a loophole and we'll make it work.
Salvage and wreck removal is fun for us. It's you could say adrenaline junkies. And that is what keeps us going, I would say.
And it's tough, and you must have a bit of craziness in you as well to be in these elements and to do the physical hard labor as well.
If we didn't refloat it, like we had to drag it on bottom, it would have been a different ball game. But like I said, luckily, man, we pumped it up, it floats. We got lucky. Don't know, man. You don't know. You see stuff with the ROV, but the ROV only sees so much, you know? You didn't really know what was on flat bottom, but now we took a look and shoot. Luckily, we could seal off a lot of the freaking engine room and all that, so yeah, on that flat bottom, it's all tore up. They beat the heck out of it.
A lot of respect for what they've done for me in this job. They've given me a lot of new experience, especially the two engineers. They have looked after me too. Yeah, it's nice to try and get as much experience as everything as possible.
Probably some of the best in the world. Yep, we had a good crew.
So now that the vessel's afloat and safely on our barge, the most important thing is where do we take it? So Chile doesn't have any locations where you can dispose of vessels, and they don't let you turn them into artificial reefs. So the first challenge for Resolve was finding a local partner and working with them to establish a way to dispose of this wreck on shore in Chile. So
It's roughly light ship with no like cargo or fuel or nothing. It's about 1,200 tons.
Basically, right now we're getting ready to start sea fastening it for the journey. We're getting all the welding machines and all that back on board because we had to obviously clear the whole deck because it was going underwater. So everything back on board now. The bits of I-beam that we used to slide it up, we're going to recycle them and use them to sea fasten the ship.
The best thing about Liam is he's very clever with different ideas, and he's not against your idea, you know? But if it's dumb, he's not going to use it. He's going to go with what he wants to do, you know? And he's safe, man. I tell you what, he's 110% safe. Like, Liam's on that. Like, if it ain't safe, we ain't doing it.
From the equipment we installed when the shipwreck was submerged on the seabed, we had our Grindex pumps, and then we had some of our air lines going through it. So all that stuff isn't needed since it's back under the barge. So rather than keeping it up there, we'll just take it down now while we can.
I did a lot of welding on the deck and stuff, putting the chains on the chain pullers. We did a lot of rigging, whole bunch of welding, burning, fabricating, you name it. You know, we did whatever they wanted, you know, drop the anchors, put the chains on. Basically, whatever Liam wants to do, we'll do it and give him 110.
So that's going to be the next few days now, is getting this girl ready to go to sea and not slide off.
Yeah, because it doesn't ever really go as planned, but they came up with a really good situation for this one and it worked out really well. So
Yeah, the celebration with it, which you don't really see, but deep down inside everybody smiles and everybody is happy and is successful, and yeah, a great team, a great salvage master, and we have so many people all over the world that comes together to do this type of line of work, and it's fantastic.
We've done many times before, and this is so important about food, about support, about laugh, about jokes.
this one's been really interesting. We never sunk a barge like this to pull up a ship. So it's a first for me, and to see how it went so well, and I didn't know if it was gonna go so well, and we made some bets and I lost, but you know what I mean? That's part of the game. We definitely made some bets, but I didn't think it was gonna float. There was a lot of damage on there I seen from the ROVs.
Yeah, I'm pretty new to the salvage game. This is my third job with Resolve, but it's my first one from start to finish, so it's all pretty new. It's a cool experience. I want to try to get my foot in the door, but I really appreciate what the guys have been doing for me. The supervisor, whenever I'm not diving, he allows me to come up and work on deck and get as much experience here, and hats off to all the other guys because they say I want to learn, and when I'm up on deck, the engineers will take me to work with the pumps and do the fittings.
And I think the project went pretty smooth, to be honest, you know. Andy's pretty intelligent with the barge going down like that, ballast in the bow, and we dragged it up and nothing broke.
For me too, I think one of the coolest things about the project was just seeing how smoothly the actual operation went. You know, there were a lot of risks involved with this project, right? You're taking your ordinary deck barge, turning it into something new, sinking it out in the middle of nowhere, remote place. The pumping systems had never been tested like this before. We had never pre-sunk the barge as a test before. So the real operation was the first test. So it's all these risks kind of building up, and competing with that was all this engineering and planning and the salvage master and everybody trying to plan against those risks. To see it all come together into a 24-hour, real smooth, pull the wreck, refloat the barge, everything went really well, and it was just awesome to see.
That's why we are Resolve, is because we resolve problems, right? So for us, we absolutely love things like this, and it's challenging, and for us, we don't see it as a problem, but as a challenge, and then we finish that challenge, it's resolved.
And you look at it now, and if you didn't see the operation, you look at this huge shipwreck sitting on top of the barge and a tiny little crane, and you gotta wonder, how the hell did they do it? Well, I think most people probably wouldn't think of the crazy idea of sinking the barge to put it on there, so.
We got to get permission from the MA, which is the local authority for Chile. Hopefully give us the permission sooner rather than later so we could head out of here.
Hi there, I'm Joe Farrell. Thank you for your time here. We appreciate it. I'm the founder and now the chairman of the board of Resolve Marine, a company I founded over 40 years ago. We're a ship rescue company. There's all kinds of projects for all kinds of entities. We're like #1 on the world now with teams around the world. We've got over 10 years of filming and all kinds of projects everywhere on the planet, from the Arctic to Antarctic to Skeleton Coast to Africa to you name it, we've been there. And the team, I want to really thank my team for doing this. Years ago when I first said, you know what, these things we're doing are pretty epic. I like to go ahead and capture this on film, and my guys are really professional. So you're like, look, Joe, we respect you. We don't want to have anything to do with reality TV. I said, no, this is not reality TV. This is you guys doing what you guys do best. One of the best part is you're looking out for each other.
We located a partner who we're working with that doesn't normally deal with ships. That's not their normal business, but we've come up with a plan using some of their equipment they have to kind of use it in a unique way to walk the shipwreck directly off our barge onto their property where they can dispose of it.
We go into a place called Valdivia. It's roughly 10 days away by tow.
Valdivia. Valdivia is the next stop.
What you're about to see is it's going to be continued here, but what the guys don't know at this point is what happens next. It's all well planned to make this very challenging tow with this vessel hanging off the side in these incredible weather conditions down there, and it doesn't go the way it was supposed to go. This is all part of what makes the business so addictive to us.
We are reminded that no challenge is too great when the right people come together with passion, purpose, and unshakable determination. Thank you for watching. For over 40 years, Resolve Marine has been quietly helping our ocean, cleaning pollutants, building artificial reefs, salvaging some of the world's most significant ship disasters, and protecting marine environments across the globe. This mission is yet another chapter in their remarkable legacy. And to every partner who joined forces with us from across the globe, thank you. Together, we've not only raised a ship, but we've raised the bar on what's thought to be impossible. All of your relentless drive and commitment have transformed this mission into a wild success. And this victory is yours. And to the power of collaboration and the endless possibilities that lie inside all of us.
Viewership is what I think it should be. Then I'll be vindicated from my crew for going through all this. So thank you and pass it along.